Hey, everybody. It's Mad Dog, and I'm here with Pino. And
Yo, yo.
surprise, we are still alive. And we will be coming at you again this year. Apologies for the delay in getting us started. We had fits and starts for any number of reasons. Sickness,
In sickness and in health,
sickness, exactly.
Maddog and Pino stay together.
Exactly. Travel, God knows, I don't know. No excuses.
And some other items that don't need to be discussed.
Exactly. And
that
some other
cause us to miss some of the summer.
some other items that impacted the off season.
Correct.
But we'll leave it at that. So anyway, this is going to be a little different than our normal podcast because
it's going to be better.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot better because neither one of us really took any notes. So that's always good.
Now, it always seems like we're flying from the seat of our pants. Well, at least I am. But now we both are, so we're consistent.
So we're going to do our best to catch you up on the first 3 weeks of the season in one podcast. We're probably not going to go game by game. We're going to hit a lot of the games that we saw this past week and some of the things we saw from teams in weeks 1 through 3. Just try to, inform and entertain as we always do.
That's our goal. And please subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. You enjoy it because you're not going to be in that first 10,000. If you don't act soon,
y'all get a T-shirt if you're right. 2000.
But you're gonna have to buy it.
We still got our friend here, so don't worry about that. And we are never going to explain that, so don't ask. So don't ask.
And we got this thing set. We haven't done this in 9 months. It's like one of us had a baby or something. You want a baby? Your uterus is so polluted, you can't make a baby. And we got this thing set up. So check out the big brains on Maddog and Pino so quickly.
It is pretty amazing.
It was probably 50-50 when we came into the studio here at Podcast City in Hermosa Beach, whether we'd actually get it set up.
Yeah, I was a little, I thought this was going to be a very late night for me on Tuesday, but hey, we are a go. All right, so let's get into it. So there's always things that we notice that are just, and one of the things is like you kind of forget like how bad / good / entertaining some of the pregame shows are, and then you get hit over the head in the first weekend with all the shit that goes on. So
I don't think any of them are entertaining in the least. Because they took the playmaker off NFL Network.
Exactly.
He was the only thing that made that pregame show worth watching.
Exactly. There went a ton of material for us for the coming season.
Fucking A. Now we got to start writing our own stuff.
But I don't know, man. So what'd you think? So yeah, no playmaker. That definitely knocked down the NFL Network a notch or two.
And NFL Networks. So here's my tip. Like, can we just go back to the days of Brent, Phyllis, Irv, and the Greek? That was a pregame show with you just show every stadium, and Brent's like, you are looking live at sold out Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands. But when they showed before, I think it was before the season kicked off when NFL Network was promoting the pregame show. So they had like a picture on as they were talking over it, and literally they almost couldn't fit everybody on the screen.
Right.
There has to be 15 people on that pregame show. It's totally unnecessary. And this is not misogynistic, but the two ladies they have, and I use that term lightly, she's a lady and pay some respect to her. But the Colleen and, what's her name? Cynthia?
Cynthia
computer
Friedland,
gal?
Yes.
So Cynthia Friedland, they bring her up there to talk about every game. And she's like, I got Saquon Barkley going for 62.5 yards, 3 catches for 10.5 yards. Like, and every time I watch her, I'm like, I need to write this shit down and then go back and fact check.
That's what I mean. There's no feedback loop in any of these shit.
Yeah, they just throw nonsense out there, right? So that's what drives you crazy. So all she's doing is like hitting run on a computer program to spit all this shit out. It's not like she's watching games and saying, oh, yeah, they played the too high shell. and that's why he's going to have 10
like
catches.
This matchup's going to be
Right.
bad for them. She ain't doing any of that.
None of that. And then the other,
no, before you leave Cynthia Freeland, like the thing that always kills me is like she'll run all her models and then she'll come up with exactly the game will be like, Cincinnati -4 and Cincinnati's 24-20. Like,
oh, okay, right.
Every single time I'm like, really? You had to run shit like to come up with that?
Because it's all out the computer, right? And there was one pregame last year where they had to play the game, this team against that team.
Yeah.
Right. And Playmaker was great on that. But they asked questions, like basic football questions.
Yeah.
And she didn't have an answer. She didn't even like have a guess. That's how little she knows about it.
And she's in the studio, man. Like,
right.
Don't even get me started with the sideline reporters.
Oh man, I forget what game that we flipped to, and I said, "What? Oh, maybe it was the Tennessee. Like, you had to. I gotta go back and figure out who that sideline reporter was, because it's not like she was a hottie,
right?
Like she was.
Again, I think there's discrimination going on. I want to see an old 50-year-old man on the sideline as a sideline reporter. What the fuck, man?
There's absolutely the worst position to be in 2024 is a white male trying to crack into the sports entertainment business. But then the other one is the Colleen girl, the short one.
Oh yeah.
And when they're doing like, she's always like, look,
Oh, wait till Halloween. We got Halloween coming up. They go nuts on Halloween.
She looks into the camera, like just to be like, hey, well, and it's not like she's looking in the camera and everything's like, whoa, I protest. Oh yeah, woo, I got that. It's all such bullshit. I mean, it's either that or this week George Stephanopoulos. So you put the pregame shows on. I wouldn't even turn on Fox or who has the other one? CBS?
Yeah, CBS. I don't know. I'm thinking about going back to them. At least they have like Cower, and he's getting like Pat Kerwin's in the background.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's
okay.
Giving them like inform. But I haven't watched that in years. I used to watch ESPN, but that got boring. And then and then we watch NFL Network mostly because of Playmaker. So
right, and they ESPN got rid of Steve Young, who was like probably the best pregame and postgame guy, because he didn't sugarcoat anything.
No, that's right.
He told you what he saw. So yeah, I'd go to CBS if they went because there's so many people that any topic comes up. All right, you have 15 seconds.
Exactly.
And then bang, 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 and that's it. And you're not going to watch a game because of the pre. I'm not going to stick with CBS because I like their pregame show.
Right.
And then I had another thought on this isn't pregame show, but Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
That opening with Carrie Underwood, and then this week they had Samuel L. telling a story about how it is so over the top.
I know.
And it's totally unnecessary.
And I thought you were talking about the actual song that she sings, because that's getting old. How many years running is it the same fucking song? And they try to like freshen it up by showing different clips, but it's the same fucking song.
Right. Yeah, and it just adds 20 minutes to the kickoff from the supposed start time. That thing seemed to take 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then since we're on the topic,
waiting all day. No, I ain't waiting all day for Sunday night. My team never plays on Sunday night.
And then what is it? Monday night busted out like Phil Collins. I'm like, come on, Phil Collins is like fucking 40.
Yeah, but we like that.
It's 40 years old, man. Come on, get a little fresher than that.
Well, at least in that case, we know who the artist is.
I guess that's
most of the other, when they announce, hey, this guy's playing here, I have no fucking idea who they're talking about.
And then I guess since we're on the topic of the broadcast,
they get Bruce on. I'll watch that pregame show.
There you go. So I'm getting a little annoyed generally with like there's never a critical comment on any of these broadcasts. It's like, Bryce Young is throwing the ball well. He just got to get in a rhythm or whatever.
Like Trevor Lawrence, man, he just needs to do what he does, man. He's trying to do too much.
There's never like
I take that there is negative comment. Like the national media talks so much shit about Danny Dimes, how he sucks, he's this, that, and the other thing. You know what I mean? But you're right on the broadcast. Although Aikman is the only one that comes close.
Yeah, Aikman and Joe Buck. that's a good called game. I'm not putting it up with Madden and Summerall or anything, but
Right.
it's a good called game.
Because if you go back and watch a clip of any game that Madden and Summerall did,
Yeah,
there were big chunks of silence. They didn't
Exactly.
think they needed to talk. Like, it's constant talk. Every play doesn't. We don't need to analyze a 2-yard run play,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, he stopped him for no gain.
And the athletic training staff's coming out. Tarico. I wrote down in my notes, like, there was one.
Oh, you did make notes.
When they did, when they did have the, it might have been the Chiefs, but he said this building, 1,073 times, at least, during one broadcast.
So
call it a stadium. It's not a fucking building.
So anyway, yeah, we turned the page to new season, and we're still frustrated with the broadcast teams. And listen,
we're angry, man.
Maddog and Pino are available. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You put us on the Tennessee
Jets
Panthers game.
Exactly.
People will tune in for that.
Exactly. You're gonna get your money's worth there, man. All right, so let's go into kind of some shit that happened in the off season first. And I'm going to go first with the biggest rule change. And, when they made it, I actually was one of the few people, I'm sure you didn't, but I was one of the few people who actually watched the USFL and shit. And like they had a version of the dynamic kickoff. They didn't call it the dynamic kickoff, but they had a version of the dynamic kickoff. And I kind of liked it. I was like, you know what, this is like, this like, in that case, it actually increased returns, and it was actually a more interesting play than just 90% of the time kicking into the end zone. And then we get to watch the dynamic kickoff the first 3 weeks of this season, and it's just like, I mean, it just looks like a video game play or something. It just doesn't look right.
Which, as we talked about Sunday, it's like the electric football that we had in the 70s.
Exactly.
Where you had to like stop to like put the little fuzzy ball
exactly
and hit the little deal on the back of the kicker. And then once that was kicked, it was kind of close to one of the bases. So you had to put the ball there. And then you hit that button, turned it on, and everyone just ran out of bounds. That was the worst fucking game on the planet, other than when you got to paint the helmets. Right?
Yeah, I agree, dude. But we all had it, man. We were craving a way to enjoy.
Man, that's what I said. If they had Madden when we were kids,
we'd never leave the house.
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't have gotten out of high school.
We wouldn't be here right now.
No, we surely wouldn't be in this podcast studio. Exactly. That's for goddamn sure.
So I guess the actual stats are there's slightly more returns as a result.
It seems to me like there's a lot of touchbacks.
Yeah, but I honestly, to make it work, they have to make it really count. So they moved touchbacks now moved to the 30. I think they got to move to 35 for people to start kicking it into the landing zone.
Yeah, you got to get in the landing zone, and no one could move before it's caught or touched or right. Whatever.
And that, in theory, should open up lanes for a return team. So I don't know. It's still a work in progress.
When you're being sold bullshit is when they name a play like it's the dynamic kickoff. It's not like, oh, the dynamic shotgun or the super cool RPO.
Yeah, we can.
But you know what I mean. And
we can break out all the thesaurus terms on that. That's a misnomer. It's a paradox.
That's what I said. What did I text you and Man Pup? This dynamic kickoff is the misnomer of misnomers. Like that's the hold my beer to other misnomers. And then I watched Cowboy. I turned on the Cowboy game Sunday, and I didn't even think onside kicks you could do.
No, you can't.
But you gotta like say we're doing the onside kick, and then it looks like the old kickoffs.
Right. But you have to declare it. So that does take a little bit of the surprise.
So they don't call that the dynamic onside kick.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't think so. I think they just still call it an onside kick. At least that's what Brady called it. He did his third Cowboy game in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Brady. Listen, he's not bad, but like he's not even half of what Greg Olsen is. Like it's just such. and we, Leslie and I, you met him before. We know Kevin Burkhardt a little, and he's just got to be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like,
How
I had such a good thing with Greg Olson. He and I had a fucking chemistry, and now I got to fucking work with this yahoo.
why isn't KB linked to this podcast?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
We're afraid of success.
Exactly.
Oh, so one thing that I missed in my notes, and you bring it because I heard Brady say it first. Then I think Scott Van Pelt a couple times last night. I think it's going to be one of the new cool guy words that they have to have. A touchdown isn't a touchdown; it's a tutty.
A teddy?
A tutty. Like, I don't know how you'd spell it, but it's like touchdown. Do I stutter? They're calling it a tutty.
I'm with you, man.
And then the other one is I really scratch my head about it is, because we're talking about announcers, and every one of them is like, oh, they got some new pieces, they got some pieces on the offensive line, and then I compare that to like the NBA had to get rid of the term owners,
right,
and their governors. These players are human beings with families, and we're calling them pieces.
Oh, come on, how degrading!
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And everybody you got to look in your eyes. And I was thinking, what's becoming more prevalent with these announcing teams is you get him going downhill. Everybody's running downhill.
Yeah.
And I get running uphill.
It is a level playing field, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't see any hills on it when I watch it. But it reminded me of, you're going up and you're coming down. You're more fired up when you're coming down. In the famous insight that Dice Clay gave us, Jack and Jill went up the hill, each with $1.25. Jill came down, she had $2.50. So what I interpret that is she put her foot in the ground
and got $2.50.
Yeah,
got another $1.25. Oh man,
Jill came down, she had $2.50. Oh,
all right, so let's talk about the offseason a little bit. There's all sorts of shit. We're not going to cover the draft. We're not going to go through all that. We intended to, of course, but that was months ago.
I think that's a conversation we should have about the conversation. That's right.
But the offseason, like, I'll try to boil it down into two things that were kind of noteworthy. One was all the wide receiver deals. So all of a sudden, wide receivers are getting paid, right? So Justin Jefferson, who not even arguably is the best wide receiver.
He's got them great teethers,
and he finally got his deal, and it was whatever $35 million a year, 35.1 or some shit. And then there was the ripple effect.
Then the dominoes fell, or it was a ripple effect. Either
exactly, no, the domino effect.
Either metaphor you want to use.
And then Amon St. Brown came in right behind that. Tyreek Hill said he wanted a little bit more money. They gave it to him.
That's why he got restrained before the first game by the cops.
And then there was a whole Brandon Ayuk, trade me, don't trade me, and finally
he was almost a Steeler.
He was almost a Steeler, and then so anyway, they all got paid $30 million plus, and the one that didn't yet was Jamar Chase. And the Bengals.
Oh, he's playing. Who's playing? No, T. Higgins is on the franchise tag.
And then the Bengals had T. Higgins, who also wanted a bunch of money, and they just paid him the franchise tag, and he's pissed off. And then Jamar Chase, I think he wants Justin Jefferson money, maybe a little bit more, and they said, nah, you're not at that level or whatever. Anyway, they never worked out a deal, and we'll get to it in a minute, but there's so much discontent in that team. It's not surprising they're not playing well. You know what I mean?
And what's it, Diggs? Did he get traded from the Bills?
Stephon Diggs. Yeah, Stephon Diggs got traded. He didn't get
a
deal.
Now?
He's at Houston now. Yeah,
right. He's already on the sideline antics. Yeah. These guys are they're all
divas, and
me.
And I don't that's been happening since Terrell Owens, but they're just divas, and this kind of the mentality now, it's built into if you're a star wide receiver, you're a diva. It's got to be part of your personality,
right, and you're disruptive. That's like wasn't Pat Riley? He wrote the book. I think it was called the Disease of Me.
Yeah,
and how that breaks shit down.
I'll have to read that.
I believe so. Yeah, it's probably inspirational.
You got more time on your hands.
I'm fucking bored.
You have to give
4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, what else do I do?
You have to give me some reading list.
I'll give you the cliff notes. You decide if you want to read it.
And then the maybe the biggest thing in the offseason was the whole QB deals, and it was so obvious. Salary caps went up again more than people thought, and it's hard to imagine it's not going up even further year over year. So like they're committing to dollars that are looking, if you look
right.
If you look a year or two back to like even Burrow and Herbert, it's like, all right, that's like chump, not chump change, but that's like a floor for someone now.
Compared to Trevor Lawrence and Dak, each getting $60 million a year.
Exactly. So the four that I wanted to talk about were the Jacksonville, and this probably isn't in order. I think Jordan Love went first, and they're all about the same. 52.5, I think, was Jordan Love. Then Trevor Lawrence was like 55, and then Tua was like rated 55 too. And then the Cowboys were just idiots. Like there's no way that they weren't going to pay Dak, and there's no way that he wasn't going to be the highest paid out of that group. But they just waited for the market to get set for them, and then they had to pay him $60 million a year. And by the way, no one's talking about this, but they basically guaranteed the whole contract.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they guaranteed 200. I don't even know why they didn't guarantee the whole thing. It must have just been like, we don't want to say that we did it.
Right, because we gave the Browns so much shit.
Exactly. But his contract is $240 million, 231 of it's guaranteed. So like, what's the fucking point?
Hey, Jarrett knows what he's doing.
So
there must be no like massage therapists in Dallas in the greater DFW area, right? That's why you could feel okay guaranteeing the money, because that's,
I guess, man. So then flash forward to now we're 3 weeks into the season. Jordan Love got hurt the first game. And by the way, they paid him, and all signs are positive, blah, blah, blah. But they paid him after playing 8 good games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
52.
But he's been in the league for 3 years. His rookie deal was probably almost up, right?
They've had him in the building, and they've seen his
that's another one I like, in the building.
Exactly. So they know what he is, whatever. But he got hurt the first week, and we'll talk about Malik Willis later. But and then Tua. So Tua's the one that like just fascinates me. So like they had to know that there's a high risk of him getting another concussion.
He should retire. If he should retire.
I think. So for those of you that aren't caught up, Tua, they paid him 55-ish. And that offense, I gotta say, with Tua in it, runs like clockwork, man. It really does. He's the right person for that offense. But he's had, I think, technically he's had 3, but they didn't count the fourth one when his arms went like this because it wasn't a concussion or something.
No, but the last one he had, that's where I was like, he needs to just shut this down,
right? Because
he got hit at the goal line. He wasn't even hit in his head, I don't think.
Right.
And as he went down, and he initially started with that like the fingers kind of thing.
But that's what kind of fascinates me about that contract. Like, I'm whatever, there is a substantial amount of it guaranteed, but is it guaranteed for that?
Like not, yeah.
Was there a concussion out or something? I'm like,
I'll tell you what. If they insured that contract, the insurance company has a rider that concussions don't count.
So I guess all joking aside, he had his 4th or 5th concussion, and the negotiations got to be something like I don't think he's going to play again. And I think they're like, well, if he retires, then all that guaranteed money doesn't go.
You're right. Yeah. Because he's walking away from the contract.
So I think he wants them to basically cut him. I don't think he'll ever play again. I really don't.
I don't think he should. I don't think he should try.
I don't think he should.
Ask Brett Favre, by the way. Breaking news.
Right. I don't know if that's football related, but anyway. So all right, Tua, you kind of knew that was going to happen. Dak has played okay. Actually, he's played well.
Well, he plays well from behind because they have to throw. That's all they do is throw.
He's played well, and Love got hurt. And Trevor, but what's up with Trevor Lawrence, man?
He's worse than Danny Dimes.
Jesus Christ! I'm like, they just paid him $55 million, And I mean, arguably he should be benched right now. Like after last
But
night.
Mac Jones, you saw what he did last night coming off the bench. First play, strip sack.
Oh.
He wasn't even sacked. The guy just knocked the ball out of his hands. Whoever the D lineman was. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. I saw something last night. SVP after the game.
Yeah.
What was that? 2022 when they were in the playoffs? Yeah, because last year they didn't do shit.
Yeah. But by the way, they've lost.
He hasn't won a game since then.
They've lost Trevor Lawrence's last 8 starts.
Yes, that's what that was the thing I saw.
And that's not a bad roster. It's not. I mean, that's kind of weird, man. That's really telling.
Do you think the clock's ticking on Doug Peterson?
Oh yeah,
they go 0-4. He'll be gone.
I'm surprised he wasn't fired today.
Yeah, I think if they lose this week, he's gone.
I was surprised he wasn't.
He's
fired
gone. I better learn how to face it. He's gone. That's what the Prince will be singing.
So, like, I don't know. All 4 of those guys. I mean, I guess Dak's playing, and Jordan Love probably will when he comes back. But
hey, don't forget Danny Dimes in that $54 million neighborhood.
No, he's not. Danny, we'll get to Danny.
Yeah, we'll get to it. No. I thought he. What's he make? What's his?
He's like.
Is he 50?
No, he's less than 40.
Oh, he's a fucking bargain.
He's a bargain. That's a starting.
What a bargain! What a bargain for you.
So anyway, I thought we'd continue with the QB theme here, and talk about the young quarterbacks and their play.
The young gunslingers.
So I thought we'd start with last year's draft class. Bryce Young, and first of all, they didn't let Bryce Young didn't play in the preseason. Like if anyone had to play real reps,
that's absurd.
It wasn't a Bryce Young.
That's absurd.
But the everything coming out of training camp is like, oh, he's on point. He's like he's a new man. This new coach. He's going to be okay. And then he threw for less than 100 yards his first 2 games.
Yeah, and he stands when everyone stands up in the huddle. He looks like the kid from junior high who like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Hey, you come out, you get to run a play.
And I'm like, again, like it wasn't like Carolina was the only one that thought he was like an NFL quarterback.
Most teams who had the number 1 pick would have taken him.
Or they had number 2 and they didn't. Whoever had number 1 didn't take him. They would have taken him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just weird that like he's disintegrated to this degree, and
they bench him.
And they benched him. Yeah,
a year and 3 games into his career there,
and he's done. He no matter what they say, he's done in Carolina.
And they got that crazy owner. Everyone will be fired next week.
Exactly.
So man,
except for Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton lit it up.
Red Rifle came in firing, didn't he?
He sure did.
Adam Thielen was like, "Thank God we got a quarterback."
So all right. So Bryce Young is now benched. C.J. Stroud, who was Offensive Player of the Year last year, I think he was definitely Rookie of the Year. I think so. I think it's like kind of that thing where it's the second time around the lineup.
A baseball thing,
baseball,
right?
You know what? Like defensive coordinators are starting to figure him out a little bit, and he didn't. I mean, they scored 16 points against Chicago. Chicago, I think, has a good defense, but then they got waxed against Minnesota. We'll talk about Minnesota in a second, so anyway,
he's coming back to like he's level like the
maybe I don't know about
a little bit. Like it's not like he's going to suck.
Yeah,
but,
he's still playing well. So that, and then you have Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, and that all right. First of all, that guy hasn't even started his 20th game like in his entire career yet. I don't think.
Right, because he only played 4 games last year, right?
Right, he played 4 last year, and he played like 8 at Florida.
Right.
So
yeah, he's learning the game.
Jury's still out, and he's fun to watch, but like
you never know what you get. He's like the next generation's Jameis.
He could be Jameis. I'm fingers crossed, man. We got another Jameis in the mix. He completes like 50% of his passes, and anyway.
But occasionally he tags him long one, or he goes on a long run, or whatever.
And then you got Will Levis. Will Levis. Did you see the? All right, so first week against who did they play first week?
Did they play the Bears?
They played the Bears, exactly. The Bears had like 150 yards total offense.
Right, but they had like 21 points on defense
exactly.
Off of him, right?
And yeah, exactly. And then he's about to go down. He's trying to do too much and just flings it up in the air and for a pick six. So like, all right, let's not do that again. So then they play the Jets next weekend, and he basically does the
Same thing.
same fucking thing. And then they started him the next week, and he actually played better, but he still had like 2 or 3 turnovers. So like he's all right. So I guess my point is the last year's class is the jury's kind of still out, but it looks like C.J. Stroud and maybe C.J. Stroud only. So we always get everyone's like moving up to pick these quarterbacks, and it's 50-50 at best. You know what
Correct. And because they're all next generation, and everyone buys the hype and shit like that. You know what would straighten Will Levis out? Is you get Lou Gossett Jr.
I mean?
up in his face. Listen here, mayonnaise. Before you take what we teach you and sell it to United Airlines, you fix the Tennessee Titans.
You from Texas?
Because
you're a steer. I only know 2 things from Texas: queers and steers.
Well, you remember that because he's a big mayonnaise guy, Will Levis.
Yeah.
So Lou Gossett would be appropriate to be the quarterback coach.
God rest his soul.
Oh, he's passed?
Yeah, he did pass.
Oh,
fairly recently, actually.
He was a badass. I liked him. He was great in that movie.
And then you go to this year's crop. Caleb Williams.
Crop. They're human beings with families.
This year's.
They're concerned about rising prices.
This year's people. Caleb Williams. No question, he was going to be the number 1 draft choice, and I don't know. Like his offensive line's awful. But he doesn't look the part yet. But again, part of the thing is they rush these. Now it's like all these players play way too fucking soon, man. They just do. Like,
well, not Jaden Daniels.
Exactly. So I was going to get to him next. So Jaden Daniels, that game last. So first of all, I think he leads a league in completion percentage. so he's obviously doing something right. And the dimes he threw last night,
he was unbelievable last night.
That one actually there were both touchdown passes to McLaurin were just like perfect throws, man. And I don't know, he doesn't look the game doesn't look too big for him. So I guess he's this year's C.J. Stroud, you know. I don't know.
I think he is because he was like they were going to go for it on 4th down toward the end of the game, and like they didn't get to play in, and like this guy's playing in his 3rd game in the NFL, and he's yelling at the sideline, "Let's go,
get it in, get it in." And then they put it in his hands, and he fucking picked up the 1st down.
He was at Arizona before LSU, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. And then you got Bo Nix, who I don't know. Sean Payton
is in love with him.
They did win. They did win this past week against Tampa Bay, which shocked me and a bunch of people in survivor pools around the planet. But I don't know. I saw him firsthand against the Steelers, and I didn't see a lot of promise. But you know what? When you go back and look at like Peyton Manning's rookie year. You look at
Peyton Manning lined up under the guard.
Well, Peyton Manning threw 26 interceptions his first year. Right. So there is a very steep learning curve, but I don't know. I don't see a lot of these guys that we just talked about. Maybe obviously Daniels and Stroud accepted getting over that learning curve. But anyway, so I thought just because it's a QB centric league, I thought we'd talk about that. So again, not going to go game by game, but I thought we kind of talked about what are the biggest surprises this year.
Oh, I got one more off-season thing. What a big shocker was.
Go for it.
Mike McDaniels, head coach of the Fish in Miami.
Yeah.
Changed his look like a perm kind of style with the glasses. Looked like a South Beach.
Is he still wearing the
and he wears like the what's it, Viore. It's like those pants, and he pulls them up over his calves, and he's got the he looks like a South Beach drug dealer. Like he's right out of Miami Vice or Scarface. That look would fit in there.
He's assimilating into his.
He's like, hey man, we better keep our eye on him.
We'll find out he's been running drugs.
Do they drug test coaches?
I don't know.
No, I think it's just players.
I don't think so. All right, so we're 3 weeks into the season. There are, I would say, so anyway, there's been some surprises. I will put so here are the 3-0 teams in the NFL right now. There's the Kansas City Chiefs, which I guess isn't surprising, and we'll come back to them.
Because there's a couple things we need to talk about them.
There's the Buffalo Bills, which I guess isn't surprising, but like everyone thought their window was closing. Now they look fucking dominant as hell. And anyway, so I guess that's not surprising. But the other three here: Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Seattle.
We're from the town with the great football team. We cheer the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And all right, so I guess we can start with Pittsburgh. And the Steelers, I mean, arguably lost their starting quarterback at the, at the week before.
Who, Roethlisberger?
They lost that a few years ago. And Justin Fields steps in, and they've, you know what? It's amazing what good coaching and a good like game plan will do for like you look at Justin Fields and what he's doing for Pittsburgh. You look at I had another example that is
Sam Darnold in Minnesota.
Look at what Sam Darnold's doing for Minnesota. It's like amazing when you have like a coach that understands your strengths, weaknesses, and put you in a position to win, kind of thing. So anyway, listen, I don't know what the Steelers are doing, but they're 3-0. They have a really tough schedule at the end of the year, so they had to get off of a fast start. Who knows? But Justin Fields, like first two games, he kind of did what he needed to do to win. This last game, he looked fucking.
He was zipping it.
He looked really good.
Russ ain't cooking in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and Tomlin's doing his Tomlinisms. He's like, there's no decision to make when Russ gets healthy.
I'll have a decision to make.
I don't care how many ways you ask me. I'm not making a decision yet because there's no decision to make.
He's the greatest orator at a press conference in the NFL. Because he made some comment about, they asked him about Justin Fields, and he's like, "Hey, I appreciate his competitiveness. He's competitive. He prepares, and we appreciate that."
And then the biggest surprise has to be Minnesota. So I texted you the first week. I'm like, if you guys can't beat Sam Darnold in Minnesota at home,
and we got rolled.
You got rolled.
Danny Dime got people outside the stadium heckling him when he was leaving the stadium.
And then
after that game,
and then they beat up on San Francisco, and then they just blew out.
Who'd they play?
Who'd they play this past week? Anyway, they're 3-0, and Sam Darnold is like the guy that you thought was a number 3 pick, and blah blah blah. But so here's and before I get to Sam Darnold at all, one of the reasons they're winning is Brian Flores is a great. He may be the best defensive coordinator in the league. Like he like stymies these.
Yeah.
They played the Texans, especially.
And always helps his lawsuit.
Right.
How great their defense is playing great.
He's really like he dials up blitzes, and anyway, like Sam Darnold's doing great, but their defense is really winning games for him too. But Sam Darnold, man, like literally, where did this come from? And then
he ain't afraid of no ghosts.
And then I thought back, and we've seen this movie before. Like, remember he was with Carolina and he like was leading the league in rushing TDs for
right.
And was like had them for 4 or 5-0.
He's in the MVP discussion right now. Exactly. Now let's get to week 4 and 5.
Exactly.
See if we're still here.
So that's like level 1 and level 2 with Darnold. Now we're about to get to level 3 where he starts throwing a bunch of. Well, level 1 is actually he comes in to be the backup to a rookie quarterback. And somehow by hook or
said
crook,
rookie doesn't play, injury or otherwise.
Exactly. He wins the job.
Yep.
Then he like plays lights out for like 3 weeks, and everyone says, he finally figured it out. And then we get to level 3 where he starts like throwing picks and doing stupid shit. So we're about there. And then level 4 is he gets benched. And level 5, he
started rinse and repeat.
He
right?
just rinses repeat. So I don't know if I'm sold on Sam Darnold yet, but the Vikings look good, man. They kicked the shit. They play the Texans this week. They kicked the shit out of the Texans. Holy shit. And then Seattle's 3-0 too. I don't know what to think about it.
It's like I haven't even watched a game. Geno Smith's still the quarterback.
Yeah.
The coach was their defensive coordinator.
No, he was, I think it was Baltimore's defensive coordinator.
How is Pete Carroll not on TV?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I heard.
I know why, because NFL Network couldn't fit him on that pregame show.
exactly.
picture.
They
Like
didn't want to add the ninth person.
the limit, the limit's 15.
Um, all right, so those are my biggest surprises for the year this year. The biggest disappointments are got to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, all right, I understand last year they started slow.
All that bullshit about starting slow. I mean, I guess they do get better as the year goes on, but
I know.
that defense last night was horrible.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow, like I guess Joe Burrow played a good game last night, but like he did not play a good game the first 2 weeks. And last year, he like remember we were like they should just sit him down. He's obviously injured. He's like not. But I go back to like the wide receiver discussion. Like I think there's so much discontent in that team. They're just like they're not really they don't really want to play. Like T Higgins, I think basically faked an injury for like 6 weeks and is
Right.
just came into play this week. You know what I mean?
And they should watch their ass because they got that Romanian rocket who had a good game for them
That's
last
right.
night.
That's right. It's the Andy Dalton revenge tour.
Right,
man.
right. But yeah, they have to be because you're feeling good about that as a Stiller.
Yeah, I mean,
Stiller backer. You're going to 3 games in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that couldn't be better. But like, I don't know what the schedule makers were doing, but like, no one. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but the Steelers don't play a division game until December. so
That's wild.
So it doesn't matter really until then. But all right, so Cincy, I think it's mostly because of their. I don't know, like there's something wrong in the chemistry of that team, I would say. And then the 49ers are 1-2. That's a pretty big disappointment. All right, so they've had a lot of injuries. I get it.
But to lose that lead to the Rams Sunday?
Yeah, but and the Rams I think the Rams have more injuries than they do. They certainly have more people on IR than they did. And yeah, to like be up whatever they were 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like I was watching the game kind of in the corner of my eye, and like I don't even know how the Rams got the ball back to.
Yeah, I would at that point I was watching the Giant game over, like on a full size screen as opposed to the laptop.
We could have come down here, man.
As opposed to the Yacht Club TV.
So the Niners are, 1-2, and they got a lot of injuries. They'll get people back, and Purdy actually has played pretty well through all of it. To be honest, like he's really, I don't know. I still don't understand the hatred of Purdy. Like he'll be the highest paid player at some point, like in the off season. Like there's almost no doubt in my mind.
I'll tell you what. Here, part of the hatred probably comes from the fact that you got all these yahoos, like prognosticators, who identify who the top quarterbacks are. And I'm not talking about like the Mel Kipers. I'm talking about everybty who has like a podcast
and
or a radio show.
Right.
And they were so wrong.
Right.
So now their job is to pick shit out that he might not do well.
He's a system quarterback and blah, blah, blah.
Like he doesn't paint his nails like Caleb Williams,
But again, like it just shows you like a good coaching staff, like with a real game plan, innovative. Like if Brock Purdy was on the Bears, like when he started 2 years ago,
he'd be in Pittsburgh.
We probably never heard of Brock Purdy again.
Right? Yeah, right. That's true.
So, I mean, it's kind of fucked up. All right, and then the other one that we have to talk about is the Cowboys. So the Cowboys are 1-2. They went into Cleveland and beat Cleveland. In Cleveland
handily, right?
No, not that handily. I guess it was handily. It wasn't statistically handily. Like Dak didn't throw for a bunch of yards or anything, but can't remember the score. But anyway, they beat Cleveland.
Cleveland no longer rocks. Cleveland sucks. But go ahead on the Cowboys.
And then they came into home where they were undefeated in the regular season last year, and had New Orleans, and New Orleans beat the shit out of Carolina, but everyone's like, it's Carolina.
Right.
And then, I don't know, it was like 35-6 at halftime or something.
Yeah, Derek Carr was like Daryl LaMonica, just chucking it everywhere, or Snake Stabler.
And so they just got run out of their own building. So then the next week they're playing. This past week they played Baltimore. So everyone's like, all right, well, they're gonna the defense because they have talent at every level of the defense. and the defense is gonna, bring it. Nope. It was like, I don't know, it was 28-0, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if Baltimore can't finish games or whatever.
I don't get that either. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Baltimore lost to the Raiders with a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and that's not unusual for them.
No, they could have lost this one.
And they could have
against
lost
the
this one.
Cowboys, because I shut it off. Like, I had it on, I turned away, and then I went back. I missed the onside kick. That's why I'm so enamored with the fact that you can still do it, the dynamic onside kick. And they were within one score, and I was like, "What the fuck happened?"
So Baltimore did pull it out, and Dallas just looks like, first of all, they can't stop the run at all, which is, any team playing Dallas is gonna.
And they got Devin Singletary coming in this week, so watch out. Thursday night.
Seriously, I would ride him, man.
Here's my take on them. First of all, you got Jera making horrible decisions.
Yeah.
Like, as you talked about signing down.
I forgot CD Lamb is also one of the highest paid wide receivers.
Yeah, but they are. I don't know that they don't strike me as a group of high character, cohesive guys.
No.
That I don't think the team is first. I think that Pat Riley, disease at me, he needs to have a talk with them. There's antics on the sidelines. Yeah. There's bickering.
Always.
CD Lamb, like, he's become the diva of divas in the NFL. Almost.
Yeah, he sure has. So I don't know. Dallas, there's so much talent on the team, at least on paper. But to your point, they're not putting it. And maybe that's a testament to Mike McCarthy. I don't know, but they're definitely not putting it together by any stretch.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of guys they got on that team. And I don't want to get over my skis and talk too much shit about them, because I'll just jinx myself for Thursday.
Exactly.
But I will say that with the way the Giants cover on the back end, and I'm not calling it the back end, I'm calling it the back door.
All right.
If we're in the booth, we're like, hey, they got good guys on the back door. No offense to anybody.
No.
Dak will throw for 400 yards against that Giant defense, because they can't cover anything.
Well, they sacked.
They sacked him 8 times because he doesn't give a shit. But their DBs, you saw him. Anytime he actually got a pass off, a guy was wide open.
That's true.
And Jared's got to be getting front. Like, how old is he?
He's, I don't know. He looks younger every day, but that's because he's doing whatever.
Yeah,
he's
like
doing.
face. I think, what's his son, Steven Jones?
Yeah,
who's like next in line.
Yeah, yes.
I think he's probably every every night of the week. Hey, Dad, let's go party. Yeah, kill that son.
Let's go to the White House.
Right. Hey, I think Diddy's having a freak out. Freak out. You think they played that song at Diddy's Freak Out?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Oh, freak out.
In my mind, they did for sure. All right, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about your Giants now, man.
All right, so I almost thought I'd just cancel my participation in the podcast after week 1. And then they had week 2 where Graham Gano, don't you know, ripped his hamstring on the opening kickoff against Washington. The bend don't break defense gave up 7 field goals. They moved the ball well. Dimes played well the last 2 weeks, in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think when he's healthy, he's not. I mean, I don't know if he's
he doesn't seem to be rattled
right
in the last 2 weeks in the pocket, and he faced pressure.
Yeah,
in both those games.
Yeah, yep.
It helps them.
Cleveland, as much as they're a disaster, Cleveland's defense is still like, you don't want to. That's not an easy day at the office by any stretch.
Yeah, but as we talked about, like, Deshaun Watson looked like he didn't give a shit. There must be when he got traded there and did the deal with Cleveland, all the massage therapists must have moved out of town, out of the greater Cleveland area.
I told you my theory. You remember, like, when Tiger Woods, like, he stopped banging whores.
Hookers and blow. He didn't do blow. At least that we know of. He fucking did everything else. I'm sure.
But that's when his game went to shit. So Deshaun Watson no longer can harass massage parlor.
Maybe he's
and his game's gone to shit. I'm telling you.
He probably went to one of Diddy's freakouts, now he's bummed that Diddy's in Epstein's cell in Brooklyn. He's like, man,
he's hoping he's in Epstein's cell.
He's like, man, no more freakouts. Fuck it. Why? This money's guaranteed.
I'm not even going to play anymore.
But anyhow, on the Jets, it seems like their offensive line's getting better. I don't know. And Cleveland has a good defensive front.
Yeah.
Um,
No, they do. They do.
Malik Neighbors is a stud. He's a star.
Dude, I have
The
him
way
on
he
fantasy team.
lays out, stretches out. I mean, they
Yeah.
should give him the ball every play on offense, one way or another.
He's really a stud. I agree.
Jet sweep,
Yep.
or whatever. Just sling one out there with him standing on the sideline,
No,
let him
he's
go
great.
get 8 yards.
He's really great, dude.
The defense, I'm surprised how bad they are. I mean, they got. I think 7 sacks against Cleveland's an anomaly for the G-men. I mean, this isn't like Strahan, Justin Tuck. But they were supposed to be by getting Brian Burns. So
right.
the defense concerns me. I think the offense has improved significantly, at least through the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
But in typical Giants fashion, it's the only time in NFL history a team has scored. Because the Giants are famous for they're famous for this shit. Let's see. Just give me 1 second here. Magnanimous history. First team in NFL history to give up 0 touchdowns, score 3, and lose the game.
So I have to laugh. This is a complete tangent, but so the Washington punter did not punt against you guys, and did not punt last night.
Who punted?
They
don't punt. Right.
They never punt.
Yeah, because the Redskins were in the red zone probably, at least 7 times.
He never punted. So, he's collecting game checks for not doing fucking shit.
And then their kicker, I heard it last night. I didn't realize it. They signed him the morning of the Giant game, and he kicked 7 field goals. And he didn't miss one last night. He's like 25 for 25 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, 25 for 25 is an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying? Now, the G-men, Joe Schoen, or whoever makes the decision on the kicker they had to sign, he misses a field goal this week.
Yeah, you can't make that shit up.
I know. So the other item I noticed watching the Giant game on the big screen, Danny Dimes, although the Nike swooshes on him, he went Johnny U. He had black high tops.
Nice.
I'm like, all right, my man. He's got the beard going. If he shows up with a crew cut this week,
in the single chin strap.
Single chin strap with the double bar with the 2 little bars separating him. Then I'm all in.
That does bring me to one topic that I didn't plan on talking about, but Aaron Rodgers has made it through 3 weeks. So
yeah,
and he does still have the single chin.
He did, as we talked about. Right, Rydell must have a old stock of those chins. There's no way they fucking make those chin straps anymore.
Only for him, man.
Right, he's got his own separate wing at the Rydell facility. I'd be really impressed if he came out with those old 1970 Rydell spikes and played in them.
All right, so the only other 2 things I had on my list were you already hit it up, but the field goals are up, touchdowns are down. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but Boswell had 6 against Atlanta the first week,
and his shorts are getting shorter. He's wearing Daisy Dukes out there.
And then you're the guy that they picked up off the street at 7 against you, but there's a lot of field goals this year.
And it seems to me the NFL is tinkering with shit.
Yeah,
a little too aggressively. Like next year, they'll probably the
uprights
will be closer.
Exactly.
And how about and Mike pointed out, we all saw it. What was it, week 1? The camera doink on a field goal attempt, long field goal attempt.
Yes.
There's no way they need that. That field goal would have been good without that camera.
I didn't even think of that. That's fucking funny.
Why do we need to see the fucking the ball going? Are we going to argue with the?
And that's part of the fucking crossbar. That's ridiculous.
It is.
That's ridiculous,
right? And because if it didn't hit that,
it would have gone.
It would have gone another yard.
Exactly,
and been good.
That's crazy.
Goodell.
And then the only other kind of theme this year so far is where are the 300-yard passers? I think I didn't do a lot of research on this, but
your gut instincts are good.
I think there's only been 2 300-yard passing games this year. One was Andy Dalton last week,
right?
and the other was Caleb Williams.
In a loss.
Yeah, when he
Yeah.
just had to throw 60 times or whatever. So it's kind of weird, and I guess that gets me to the Kansas City Chiefs, which I think we wanted to talk about. Unless you got something else you want to talk about. So the Chiefs are.
Oh yeah, I should have touched on this with the I'm calling them Redskins, by the way,
Yeah, it's fine.
because I confused myself. I still wish
Yeah.
they were the WFTs.
Yeah, that would be easier.
The what the fucks. That would have been
Exactly.
good. Dan Quinn keeping his defensive coordinator
Backwards
identity,
hat.
wearing a backwards hat, but it's like a cheap shitty hat, like with that,
like the little,
like it's got the
plastic.
opening. It doesn't even. It's not even snap back. It's got like that metal kind of deal where you pull the fabric through to tighten it up or loosen it up. And like it's not even a good hat. I mean, I've seen Baker Mayfield wear the hat backwards. You know, it looks appropriate. That's a piece of shit hat. It's like he bought it at the Walmart near the stadium. So I digress. Go ahead.
So anyway, I talked about the Bills at the top. Like everyone thought their window was closing. They lost a bunch of players, and they just seem to be reloading. They look good. Get early, whatever. All right, but the Chiefs, and you got to give the Chiefs credit to this degree. They played the Ravens week 1. They played who'd they play week 2? I don't know. They played someone tough week 2, and then they played the Falcons on the road week 3. And they won all of them by like a
less than 7, right?
Yeah, 1-score game, whatever. And it just they're becoming. I guess my point is they're becoming the Patriots of this decade or whatever. Because again, I'm not saying the pass interference call 2 games ago was not a bad call, but that bailed them out and they won the game.
They get bailed out every week, right?
This year, this game in Atlanta, there was definitely a pass interference call against the Chiefs that they didn't call. That would have put the ball to 1 for the Falcons to have a chance to win the game. But it's just like they're the Patriots. Like there's always going to be a play that they get that either by their well coached, team and talent, or by fucking just luck that goes their way, and they're becoming the Patriots of this decade.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because it always, especially late in the game on the last drive, they're throwing flags on if that play remained incomplete or whatever.
Right,
the game's over.
Right,
and woo, hey, we got laundry.
And that was probably pass interference, but anyway, just like there's always a play like that, and it just reminds me of the Patriots. There was always a play like that, and it always went their way. Even if it was the right call, it just always went their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I always thought that about the Cowboys.
So it's just becoming frustrating to watch them. And they're probably going to go like 15-2 and have a point differential of like 12.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. Right. Or maybe they're the first 15-2 team with a negative point differential. In one of those games, in 2 of those games, it'll be negative. Right.
Exactly.
So, the good news was Sunday. I knew right away when they didn't show any luxury box.
I know.
I was like, oh, sweet. She ain't there. We don't got to see that shit.
Exactly.
Which probably segues into unless you got anything else.
No, this is it.
They got that MAGA Republican kicking field goals saying the wives should be home in the kitchen, knocked up,
and he's knocking field goals.
Yeah, so hey, they're all cheering for her. Hey, we were pissed, but now we're not.
And going back to Kelsey, did you see, there's all sorts of memes on the internet. Did you see how sad he was?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
dude, he is every week. He's like in New York with his lady. If I knew one of her songs, I'd break out into it. But I'm sure I've heard them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And she's running around giving out presidential endorsements, and they're at this event and that event, and he looked exhausted on the sideline.
Yeah.
Plus that haircut.
Yeah, dude, what happened to his buzz cut? Like he's like, I think Taylor's got some influence on the hair, man. He wouldn't.
I still can't figure that whole thing out, man. I think it's all bullshit.
I don't think so, man.
I think it's a market. Like, he's going to be a movie star now.
2 kids in love, man. He apparently he's good in this grotesque area or whatever.
Well, I actually on the State Farm commercials, I kind of liked him.
Yeah,
but the new one I really like with the guy from the soccer guy. From
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
Like he's good. Football is life, or whatever. Whatever. And Mahomes, so the Chiefs still can't afford though to buy him a helmet that fits.
I know that. You know what? It's so funny you say that because you've always said that. And when they came out in the field on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, and I was like, "What the fuck is up with this helmet?"
Yeah, it's like all stuff like the fuck that.
And it sits like 3 inches higher.
Right,
his head
and the
than
face
anybody
mask
else.
is actually touching his chin.
It is weird.
Like I don't get it.
It is
Like they've
fucking
won
weird.
2 Super Bowls in a row.
It is weird. They
Send
should-
them down to the Rideout factory, man, and get them fitted.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is giving some fucking advice.
And I'm still amazed that they're the only team with generic helmets. They maybe that's why it doesn't fit. They bought them at like Dick's Sporting Goods, like because there's no every other team is like the Rydell logo or what you know what brand it is. I forget the other ones, but all of theirs are just blank.
Right.
No one's even like stand together or anything like that on the back.
All right, man. That's what.
But yeah,
this week.
I think Travis Kelce's partying too much. He partied too much in the off season.
Yeah.
I think the drive's not there. You know him, and he's just
He's a decoy right now. He's only got like 8 targets this year.
Yeah, what would his lady have done if she was at the game? She would have been.
It would have had
right.
Yeah.
But I got one more comment I thought
of.
Back to your Steelers 3-0.
Yeah.
You are now the Liza Minnelli team because you have Arthur Smith.
We do. Where's my
as
hat?
your O coordinator?
Where's my hat?
All right, so I'll tell you what. I'll be super engaged if I get the outcome I need Thursday.
Yeah.
Although they've lost like 15 times in a row to Dallas.
I'm rooting for you this year. Dallas is a disaster. Is it at home?
Sorry,
or away?
Nevd. It's in Dallas.
All right. It doesn't
Short
matter.
week on the
got
road.
Blown out 3 times in a row at home. So anyway, all right. Rooting for you. That's all we got this week.
All right, you'll be at the Steeler game Sunday.
No.
Oh no, you're on you're in Ole Miss.
I'll be at Ole Miss.
Oh, damn.
And then I got 3 weeks in a row seeing the Steelers. Man.
Hey, if you see Eli Manning, ask him to give me a call. If he's at the game.
I don't think you remember this. I bought an Eli Manning jersey the last time I was at
Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss.
Like the Ole Miss?
Yeah,
the Ole Miss? Okay.
I'm wearing it. All right,
I can give you an Eli Manning jersey and you could cut both of them and like tie them together, like represent. I don't think so. Okay. All right. We'll see y'all next week for sure.
Bye.